For years, experts and Somali officials have made a bold claim that Somalia sits on more than 110 billion barrels of oil, buried beneath its land and offshore waters. If true, Somalia would rank 7th in the world for oil reserves, just behind Russia and ahead of energy giants like Kuwait and the UAE. For one of Africa's poorest countries, that's a game changer. Oil has the power to transform a nation. Just look across the water. Saudi Arabia, Qatar, and the UAE were once struggling economies, no different from Somalia today. Now they are developed nations fueled by oil. But those countries had something Somalia hasn't had in nearly 35 years: stability. The federal government's control of the country is fractured and fragile. In the south, it fights a bitter war against Al-Shabaab, a terrorist group that dominates much of the countryside. In the north, its presence is nearly non-existent. That territory belongs to Puntland and Somaliland, two autonomous regions that are far wealthier and more stable than the central government. Somaliland openly pushes for full independence, while Puntland flirts with the idea but remains committed to autonomy. And here's the cruel twist. Somalia's richest onshore oil basins, Darur, Nugal, and Odaweyne, are all located in these breakaway regions, far beyond the reach of Mogadishu. Fortunately for the federal government, most of the country's oil lies offshore, far from the instability on land. Somalia has opened over 1 million square kilometers of offshore territory for exploration. This area has been divided into 206 blocks, offered to the international oil companies. Some of the coastal blocks were sold decades ago to ExxonMobil and Shell under the Siad Barre regime. Those rights remain valid. In fact, both companies recently paid the federal government under $2 million in rent to maintain their claims, waiting, perhaps, for the country to stabilize before making their move. So far, only 13 of the 206 offshore blocks have been sold. The buyers? Coastline Exploration, Liberty Petroleum, and the Turkish Petroleum Corporation, TPAO. While Coastlines and Liberty have yet to begin exploration, TPAO has already made remarkable progress. As of May 2025, TPAO had completed seismic exploration on 2 unspecified offshore blocks and expects to complete the third by month's end. And the results have exceeded all expectations. According to Business Insider, each of the first 2 blocks holds 10 billion barrels of oil. That's 20 billion barrels discovered from just 2 blocks, nearly 20% of Somalia's estimated reserves. If even 5% of the remaining 204 blocks hold similar quantities, Somalia could rival Saudi Arabia and Venezuela in total oil wealth, possibly reaching 200 billion barrels. Such a discovery would instantly redefine Somalia's role on the world stage. Somaliland and Puntland would likely consider rejoining the federal framework, since full independence would mean forfeiting access to oil revenue. Oil production nations may fear Somalia's emergence could flood the market and push down prices. They might consider undermining the Somali government to delay production. But because the fields are offshore, destabilizing the interior would have limited effect. To avoid disruption, Somalia may be quickly invited into OPEC to help regulate output in cooperation with other producers. The United States would likely push for new military bases in Somalia to protect the petrodollar and keep China out, but it may choose not to act directly, as Turkey's presence already achieves both aims. The greatest threat may come from Somalia's neighbors, Ethiopia and Kenya. Both countries house ethnically Somali regions, that Somalia may one day seek to reclaim with its newfound wealth and military power. For Ethiopia and Kenya, it may be tempting to strike preemptively while Somalia is still weak. But thanks to Turkish military backing and Ethiopia's landlocked position, offshore oil production would remain secure. The next few months will be critical. All eyes are on Oruk Reis, the Turkish oil exploration ship, as it completes surveys of the third offshore block. Guarded closely by the Turkish Navy, it may soon deliver the news the Somali people have longed to hear, that their troubled days are finally behind them.